Hey guys, welcome back to Noise News.
We've got a lot of news and stories for this episode, so let's get right into it.
We are going to start today off with some sports talk.
The winter sports meeting is tonight at 6:30 in the high school building.
Remember, if you are planning to participate in winter sports, you must come to this meeting. The information given tonight will not want to be missed.
You must bring one parent with you, and don't forget to follow all guidelines to keep yourself and others safe.
Now off to one of our first stories of the year, which is a story that has been on a lot of people's minds lately. Let's head over to a story about the 2020 election.
Every 4 years, people in the United States express their rights as citizens to vote for who they believe should be the leader of this country. With this year housing such an important election, every voter counts, even those at Spectrum. One of the largest demographics for voting has a strange way of showing up at the polls.
Typically and historically, the 18 to 25-year-old age group has been the least represented at the polls. Fewest number of people who show up. And what that has resulted in is a lot of policies in our government that are geared towards the people who do show up to vote.
Mrs. Hewitt, who teaches the Cash American Government class, has an extensive knowledge of voting and shows her students the importance of voting in today's society.
Well, we live in a country where our founding fathers wanted a system where the people decide what happens. And a lot of people complain that they don't like what their governmental officials are doing. Well, that's what the purpose of voting is for. If you don't like what they're doing, you are supposed to go and use your voice. It is the one opportunity where you get to use your voice and say, this is what I want to happen.
Logan Schumacher, one of Mrs. Hewitt's students and who has recently turned 18 years old, says, "I think voting at any age is important because each vote is worth the same amount no matter the age of the voter." Even when Mrs. Hewitt was our age, she showed the same enthusiasm as Logan.
I grew up in a household where my parents voted every election. That was just something that you did as an American citizen, is you always went to vote. So when it was my turn, I thought that was really awesome. I was really excited about the idea that here's the chance that my opinion actually is going to mean something.
This election will surely go down in the history books, and all of us teenagers should be a part of it. This has been Preston, Joe, and Ben, Noise News.
I'd like to say if you're going to be 18 by November 3rd, I strongly encourage you to get out and vote.
What a great story.
I agree, and we have another story on the way. This one is about our very own Spectrum tennis sections. Take it away, team.
The tennis season ended a few weeks ago, and for some, it was their last season at Spectrum.
I started last year, so junior year, and I just kind of wanted something to do to fill up my time, and it just kind of seemed like a fun sport to do.
The Spectrum team played sections and sadly lost, but played like champions.
We did pretty good as a team, so we only had played one game, but we did really good as a team because the team we played was pretty tough.
Like many other sports, tennis was affected by COVID too.
I mean, this year was weird just because half the days we were at home. Usually there is a individual sections and then there's a team sections, and they're only allowing team sections this year, I think. I think it got shortened almost a month. There was like 2 weeks taken off the end, and we started like 2 weeks later, and we had to play teams that were close in our area instead of like last year we went up to like Alexandria and stuff, but this time it was only like Becker, Monticello, like closer to us area.
Spectrum also co-ops with Big Lake High School for tennis. This makes it hard to bond with your team, but the girls stay strong.
Well, the whole team's really nice, and I think there was like 8 of us from Spectrum, so that was really cool just because we had quite a few people come out this year, and the Big Lake team was all super nice, and they treated us just like we were from their school, and both the JV and the varsity team are just like a family.
This has been Ruby Curtis and Ellie McCoy, signing off.
Nice job, team. It's always great to hear about Spectrum sports.
For our final story, we have one with Governor Walz himself. Recently, Arik and Zach were given the opportunity to talk to the governor at a student press conference. Take it away, guys.
On Friday, October 2nd, we got an opportunity to meet with Governor Tim Walz, the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Education and the Infectious Disease Director of the Department of Health. The student-led press conference was held at the Department of Revenue building in Minnesota's capital, St. Paul. 11 student journalists, along with professional media, attended the event. The students in attendance were allowed to ask any question they'd like. We started off by asking a question about his leadership.
How, in the face of the pandemic and while you faced immense political pressure, were you able to step up to the plate and be the leader that Minnesota needed? What past experiences or traits are helping you lead through this crisis?
And I think, and people often come up to me, they said you'd never probably anticipated when you asked the people of Minnesota to give you the privilege of being governor that we would be in a pandemic. So I think that we're all products of our past experiences, but I think the idea that I would make the case for is if we can find common goals and share them and surround ourselves with people who share in that goal that it is about servant leadership, you get better outcomes.
Another question that was asked concerned what needed to happen in order for students to go back to school full-time with no mask. Heather Mueller, Deputy Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Education, said it all depends on the amount of COVID cases.
I think that what we need to be able to see is we need to see a decrease in the numbers. I think we need to see consistently in our partnership with the Department of Health is to really look at those case counts and recognize that over 2 incubation periods, which is 2 weeks each, so over a 4-week period, that we are seeing no increases in cases or no cases.
Next, we were able to ask him about how he has been able to maintain good mental health during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, Minnesotans of all backgrounds have come to you with their questions, seeking guidance and support. And I'm just wondering, how do you deal with the stress that comes with this, and how do you maintain good mental health during this pandemic?
I, like so many, had to refocus. I know you would not know this by looking at me, but I run 5 days a week, about 5 miles at a time. You find that hard to believe. They believed everything else I said up till this point, and that you can't believe that. So, and then I think for me, it's getting with the experts and digging down into the details and formulating plans. I will say this, that the one blessing from any of this is I have eaten more meals with my 14-year-old son than I have in a long time. He may disagree and be embarrassed for me to say that, but we spent a lot more time together. I am now becoming well-versed in anime. Who would have ever known I would need that? But I know the difference between Naruto and Attack on Titan, and so it's that part of it. So I think it's reconnecting.
All in all, we had a great time attending the press conference and appreciated the opportunity we were given by the governor. This has been Arik and Zach, Noise News.
Great story, guys. That must have been an exciting press conference.
Well, I think that's all the news we have for you today, Spectrum.
Wait, no, we have a commercial.
Oh, that's right. Let's head over to a commercial before we say goodbye for this week.
Oh, hi. Have you been struggling with hybrid learning? Well, we have some tips for you.
Make sure you have a dedicated space for homework that is free of distractions. This will help you stay focused and use your time wisely.
Next, take frequent breaks. Allow yourself to go outside, get something to eat, play with your animals, take a walk, just relax, or just stand around.
Also, make sure you use your time effectively. The time teachers give you in class should be used to complete the assignments and ask questions. And on that note, ask questions. Even if your teacher isn't there in the room, they can still help you with your work.
Thanks, everybody, and I hope this helps you all succeed in hybrid learning. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
I'll have to make sure I consider some of those tips.
Me too. Now I think that's all the news we have for you today, Spectrum.
Yes, this has been Preston
And Elizabeth.
keeping you in on the noise.